What's up, everybody? It's Young here, and welcome to a Metal Gear Solid 5 review discussion video. So, my video review came out a few days ago, and a lot of you guys didn't like what I had to say. It was my most disliked video of all time, and it is disheartening that this has to happen on the review of the game that I've been covering for so long, but I do understand where you're coming from, but with this video, I also hope that you understand where I'm coming from. I'm not gonna try to convince you otherwise. You know, if you hate this game, then you hate this game, and that's fine by me. But I love this game, and I am here to tell you why. And by the way, ignore the random drawings in the background there on the chalkboard. It's my little sister. She's artistic and likes to draw random shit, so, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, first things first, I wasn't paid by Konami to say good things about it. I could have said it sucks, and I would have been okay, you know, but I don't think it sucks, and that was represented in my review with my review score, a 9.7 out of 10. And I do, in fact, believe that Metal Gear Solid 5 is the best Metal Gear game in the series. Now, what that means for you could be different from what that means for me. For a lot of you, it seems that the core of Metal Gear is the story. You know, if the core is rotten, then everything else sort of doesn't even matter. And that's not how I look at things. For me, the story is absolutely important, but so is gameplay. And for me, what sold Metal Gear Solid 5 was its gameplay. It is just absolutely phenomenal. If I were to judge Metal Gear Solid 5 on its story alone, then yeah, it probably wouldn't get a very good score because I don't believe that this is the best Metal Gear story. I said that in my review, in fact. I said the best Metal Gear story, the crown still belongs to Snake Eater. Phantom Pain's story, I thought it was engaging, though. It kept me going from mission to mission, and I wanted to find out more and more about all these mysterious things, you know, the parasite and the all the other jargon. So the story kept me engaged, although I guess the climax and the conclusion might not be everyone's cup of tea. For me, it wasn't terrible. I didn't think it was awful, like it broke the game or anything, like a lot of you seem to think. For me, I wish it wouldn't have been that way, but at the same time, I appreciate what Kojima's trying to do. If you actually stop and think about what all of that means, you know, rather than just look at, oh, this happened and that happened, this event happened, instead of just looking at that way, if you actually understand the meaning behind everything that Kojima has been building up to with this revelation that Venom Snake is in fact you yourself as an individual, you are Big Boss, that kind of thing. It's actually pretty cool what he is trying to do. The problem is that it's not what we asked for, and that's just not how the game was advertised. And that's why I do understand why you're so angry. But for me, yeah, I didn't get what I wanted, but I still thought Kojima did something very cool, very unique, and very Kojima-esque. And so for me, the story wasn't enough to make me hate this game because the gameplay was so freaking great. I mean, yeah, I'm split in terms of the ending. I really wish we would have played as Big Boss. I wanted to see his downfall, not the medics, you know. But I still appreciate it, you know. And I think this is the new Metal Gear Solid 2. I think people are gonna look back to this game years later and then be like, you know, when I think about it, this game actually is pretty cool, what it does. MGS2, a lot of people hated it when it came out because, you know, with the whole Raiden thing. But years later, people look back to it and go, you know, maybe it might not be my favorite Metal Gear game, but I see what Kojima did there, and it's actually really, really cool. And I think that mindset will come years later. But again, for me, the gameplay is just absolutely phenomenal. It is the best stealth gameplay I've ever played. It's the only Metal Gear game that had me going, holy shit, I just did that. And I came up with that. The game didn't hold my hand through this. I came up with all that, the systems organically sort of work together to make this amazingly intense or amazingly epic moment happen, and it all happened organically. This experience was unique to me. This happened probably to almost nobody else. That's what makes this game special. That's what I experienced in this game that I didn't get with previous Metal Gear games. With previous Metal Gear games, you and I could sit down and we would basically say, oh yeah, I did this and I did that, and it would be sort of a very similar story. With Metal Gear Solid 5, you and I could sit down and we could tell two completely different stories that are equally exciting, each of us, recounting how differently we did these missions and what crazy ideas we came up with. That is just something you cannot find in the previous Metal Gear games. You just can't. Gameplay-wise, this Metal Gear Solid 5 is, I think, vastly superior to all the previous Metal Gear games. And, I don't say that lightly because I love the gameplay of the previous games. But, like Snake Eater, for example, it has the best story, but I thought the gameplay, like when I go play it now, it's kind of clumsy. There are certain clumsy elements to it. Digging into menus to heal your wounds and to re-equip your stuff, it's just not intuitive. It pauses the game, it breaks the flow, whereas Phantom Pain has the iDroid, a seamless menu, everything just sort of flows. You just never feel like the systems are separate. Everything just feels like one cohesive unit that flows, that never stops the game. You're always in the game. So it's interesting. So Metal Gear Solid 3, the story was so phenomenal that I was willing to overlook the somewhat clumsy yet good gameplay, whereas with MGS5, it's like the opposite. The gameplay is so goddamn good that I am willing to overlook the somewhat clumsy, yet still interesting, engaging, even if controversial story. So I hope that sort of clarifies where I'm coming from with this 9.7 score. For me, the gameplay absolutely sold it for me. And a lot of you guys are calling me biased and whatever, but for some of you, I suggest you look at yourself in the mirror. You're judging this entire game based on the fact that it isn't a Metal Gear game because the story isn't Metal Gear-y or something like that. I mean, that's just not the way to review a game. You have to look at every aspect of it, and the gameplay aspect is absolutely phenomenal, and I don't care what anybody says, I'm not going to change my mind on that fact. The story we can absolutely argue. Look, I get it. Trust me, I understand how you feel. For me, when that first came up, there was a feeling of rage and like I was played like a fiddle inside, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. And I kind of started to appreciate it. Maybe that's not going to happen for you. And again, we will talk about this later. But I don't think it's fair for you to judge the entire game based on the fact that you absolutely hated the ending. Because I thought the journey was absolutely incredible. It's like saying, I don't know, that Lost, the show, is a terrible series because you didn't like the ending, which is, I get that some people didn't like the ending. But to say that the journey wasn't, like, awesome, I'm sorry, I just can't agree with that. Same with like Battlestar Galactica. The ending left a lot of people like, really, that's it? But the journey was absolutely phenomenal, and so it still makes the product as a whole good, even if the climax or the conclusion could have been better. And yes, I do agree that the pacing was way off in this game. Chapter 2 in particular, I get it. But for me, I guess I just had so much fun with the rehashed missions with the new conditions, stealth mode and subsistence, where, if with stealth or pure stealth or whatever, if you get detected, the game ends, you gotta start over again or from your previous checkpoint. That was super intense. Subsistence, where you had practically nothing except for a fatigue and your bionic arm. I mean, that made for some of the coolest, most intense missions I've played in a video game. So yeah, you're right. Story-wise, the progression was just kind of non-existent in Chapter 2. But gameplay-wise, it was still there. It was still high up there. And, I think a lot of the hate for Metal Gear Solid 5 comes from the story's progression. And I think it all revolves around the story. And even with the cut content, look, I get it. Mission 51, I was equally pissed when I saw that Mission 51 had been excluded, which is why I didn't give Phantom Pain a perfect score. It doesn't deserve a perfect score if it has a piece missing. But when you look at the gameplay scenario, I felt like I had my fill of gameplay with Phantom Pain. I didn't feel ripped off in terms of gameplay. Like, if you look at the mission itself, it's Sahelanthropus all over again. It's another Sahelanthropus battle. And while it's cool that it now takes place in this jungle-like setting and whatever, it's just another Sahelanthropus battle. So gameplay-wise, I wasn't too shaken. But yeah, story-wise, I was absolutely confounded that this wasn't like included in the game, that it was considered being cut. That blows my mind still. But I think, yeah, so Mission 51, a lot of the hate for that being cut comes from the story not being complete in the game, and it all comes back to story. So yes, if I were to judge this game on story alone, it wouldn't get that as good of a score. But the gameplay, in terms of gameplay, it's all there. It really is all there. The mother base, the weapon customization, the incredible number of tools and weapons and gadgets that you have at your disposal that you can use in missions, and then use the new weapons that you get towards the end game, and then go back to all the missions that you've played through and then redo them, and being able to redo them in different ways because you got all these new weapons now that open up so many new doors. That's incredible. I'm sorry, I cannot get over that. And I'm playing Phantom Pain still, and I'm still finding new things. I mean, go watch my Yong play. That's my third playthrough, and you can still see that I am surprised at certain things where I'm like, wait, I didn't see that before, or holy shit, I didn't know you could do that. I am still finding new things, and Phantom Pain is just such a huge and massive game that is worth the asking price. But yes, you're right, I do agree. Story-wise, it didn't flow as well as it could have. The ending wasn't something that I guess we wanted. It wasn't what was advertised. The cut mission is unacceptable. So, yes, if you're a story guy where the story is the core of the game and everything revolves around the story, I completely understand if you hate this game, if you don't like it, if you're disappointed. But look at it from my end where I just love the gameplay. You know, that's why I gave it a 9.7, because I look at it as a whole. For me, I come to Metal Gear not just for the story, but for the gameplay as well. I still enjoy the arcade-style stealth of MGS1. It's a big part for why I think that's one of the best Metal Gear games. I legitimately enjoy the gameplay, even if the controls and mechanics are showing its age, as well as the story. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, look, you hate the game, fine, dislike my video, whatever. But what I'm doing here is telling you my honest opinion. I love this game. A lot of people love this game. The ending is controversial, the cut mission is unacceptable, and the story pacing, especially Chapter 2, yeah, that was rough. And no, this game does not have the best story in the Metal Gear series. That's a fact for me. You know, well, that's my opinion, but a lot of people seem to agree. And for good reasons. But the presentation is still top-notch. The cutscenes are fucking awesome. The cassette tapes provide a lot of cool lore details. And this game just has so much to offer. And I hate that. Well, I don't want to say hate, but it disheartens me that people are looking at this one element of the game and judging the entire experience around that one thing they dislike. I feel like it's like you're having tunnel vision. You know, you're not looking at the whole thing as a whole and not realizing that there are certain good aspects of the game. But look, again, it all depends on what makes a Metal Gear game for you and what makes it for me. For you, if it's story, fine. You have all the right to hate the game. If you know, the ending was something you weren't satisfied with, if story was what you came to Metal Gear for, then absolutely go ahead and hate the game. I completely understand. But I hope you won't hate me for loving this game because I love the gameplay. I mean, this game has fantastic gameplay. And that's something that very few people deny. You know, they were pissed at the ending, at the cut mission or whatever, but very few say that the gameplay sucked, because it doesn't. It is the best Metal Gear gameplay, and it is enough for me. The gameplay, it's just so mind-blowingly good that I easily gave it a 9.7, and it could have been a 10 had it not been for that missing mission, and I guess like some of the pacing issues, which a lot of you guys pointed out. So bottom line, I get it. I understand. I don't want... this video is not about changing your mind. It's not about telling you, oh, you hate my video, fuck you. No, look, you hate my video, you hate my opinions, I get it. I understand why. There is a lot of controversial aspects to this game, and I get all of your concerns. I've heard them, I've read them, and I get it. I sympathize with you, truly I do, but at the same time, I'm not going to change my mind. I still love this game. That's something that I just cannot help, despite the ending, despite the Chapter 2 pacing, despite the cut mission. This was, gameplay-wise, some of the most fulfilling experiences I've had, and that's something that I'm going to take to my grave. And I still do believe this game is a masterpiece. And just, for now, my game of the year. A lot of people won't agree, that's fine, but it's for now, my personal game of the year, with Fallout 4 being the only candidate that can really maybe dethrone Metal Gear Solid 5. We'll see what happens. So, I guess that's pretty much everything I want to say. I have like a bunch of notes here, but I really felt as though I had to talk to you guys. I hope you guys won't see me as a sellout or anything like that. I love you guys. I do this content for you guys, and I swear to you, this was my honest opinion of the game. It wasn't Konami whispering in my ear. It was me telling you guys, this game is awesome. Everyone should play it. And especially, I guess, the Metal Gear newbies. You're going to be really confused by the story, but I think they'll love the gameplay, the guys who are just getting into Metal Gear. And I have to look at it from every angle. I can't just be a Metal Gear fanboy when I'm reviewing a game. Because that's when things get truly biased. So, I don't know. I hope that sort of clarifies my, that was my phone. I hope that sort of clarifies my position. I hope you guys don't hate me for my score. I don't hate you for hating me or for hating my opinions, because I get it. I completely, utterly understand where you're coming from. And, it's Metal Gear Solid 5 is just the kind of game that will get people talking. And, it'll be interesting to see what people think of it years later, when the dust has settled. But yeah, I truly do hope that Konami releases the Mission 51 DLC, although that's highly unlikely considering the debacle between Kojima and Konami. So with that, I guess I would like to end this little discussion video. I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below, whether it is that you don't like my opinion, and I would love for you to explain why. But this is my stance, and it's my tastes maybe that are different from yours. I come from Metal Gear for the full experience, not just story, not just gameplay. I come for both. And when one element of that just surpasses everything, it blows my mind in that way. I just can't help but give the game high scores. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, without without that amazing story, the game wouldn't be, one of my favorite Metal Gear games. But because the story is there to complement the somewhat clumsy but good gameplay, it's a whole, it's a whole experience. It's the whole package. Same with Phantom Pain. It's the whole package. The gameplay with the story that, but still engaging, still, a lot to talk about. So I hope that makes sense. I know I'm rambling now, but I hope that kind of makes sense, and I hope that clears it up for you. And I just really had to get this off my chest because, when I saw those dislikes, it crushed me, but I had to deal with it, and I had to be like, okay, there's a reason behind this, and I should be clear-headed about this. And I looked at the comments, and I'm like, okay, makes sense. Got it. Gotcha. I understand. But now I hope you understand me. So I think that's pretty much everything that I have to say. With that, I would like to end this discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know again. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. I would love to hear them. Talk, discuss, and who knows? We'll, maybe I'll change your mind. Maybe you'll change my mind. And maybe everything's still gonna remain the same. Doesn't matter, We're all Metal Gear fans. We're here to talk, we're here to discuss, and it's all sorts of awesome stuff. look forward to future content. I'll be talking about the ending, explaining what it all means, because a lot of people were confused. I'll be discussing it, of course, and a lot of great content coming up, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, one thing that I forgot to talk about, Chapter 3. There's been rumors floating around that the game was supposed to have a third chapter, but it was cut or something along those lines. Somebody found, I think in the PC files, a little title card that says Chapter 3 Peace. And I won't say too much about that because, honestly, we don't know much about what that's all about. Maybe this was something that was considered early in the development process and it was something that was left there as a placeholder or something just in case. I don't know. We don't really know if this was supposed to go on for 3 chapters. We just don't know. I don't know anything. So I can't really say, let's get our pitchforks and go to Konami headquarters and protest and shit. Because we just don't know what this Chapter 3 title card thing is about. And until I know more, I'm going to refrain from saying one way or another. If there was supposed to be a Chapter 3, Jesus, I mean, that that would be something, wouldn't it? But the story pretty much seems complete, though. By the end of Chapter 2, you know, the Venom Snake arc is complete. The Quiet arc is complete. Mission 51 is missing, but that arc would have been completed if Mission 1 had been included. Like, I don't know what else they could do with the story that would, I guess, allow for an extra chapter to be added. That's just my opinion. But again, until I learn more about this alleged Chapter 3, I don't want to say too much about it and say things that might not correspond to actual facts. So I'm going to hold off on that. When we learn more, you know, let me know if you learn more of this Chapter 3, if there are more concrete facts, and then we'll talk about this Chapter 3 thing that's been floating around the web. So yeah, with that, I will see you guys next time. Yong out!